Right, I'm going to get these pots ready for the tomatoes. This is the way I do it. I've done for quite a while now. Just using multi-purpose compost with vermiculite in it. Just B&Q's own compost, and I've got some nice Irish evergreen stuff thrown in as well. So I have a small pot, which is obviously what my tomato plants are currently in, which is this size. You know, so they're getting bigger. If you've got getting suckers on your plant, you need to start picking them off. I'll try and show you what a sucker looks like. It's a bit hard because I can't really see my screen. But in between, when you get a leaf axis, I'll show you lower down here. When you get the main stem and a leaf truss coming off, it'll grow at a 45-degree angle from in between there. So I don't know how well you can see it, but there's one right here. It's just nip it out, and that's basically all they look like. You can discard that because it ends up being another plant, and you know, don't pull these ones off because that's actually going to be fruit. So you have to regularly keep checking that because they do kind of regrow back all through the duration of its growing life. You know, unless if you're growing like a bush variety. I used to grow them called Arctic plenty, but you don't have to take suckers off, even though I did at a certain point because you end up with absolutely loads. Right, so you're going to need 2 pots identical. One has no bottom in it and the other one does. So it's like about, you know, 1/2 inch to 1 inch cut off the bottom of this one. If it's just where there's a line going round, I'll just use out the standing knife and cut round. I tend to use like a flimsier pot for this bit, and this is quite a hard plastic, but generally same sort of size. So I'll put this pot inside that. Put some compost in the bottom. And you want to do it so the top of your pot kind of is level with the inside, the first rim. If you haven't got a rim, just about 1 inch down from the top of the pot will do. And then just firm it down a bit. You know, if you need to add a bit more, no big deal. If you do it a bit shallow, doesn't matter. You can top it up after when your tomato plant's in. Right, now instead of keep filling a pot up with compost, just nominate one pot, fill it up with compost, shove it roughly in the middle, and you just start pouring the compost on. This is why I use a pot full of compost in the middle, because otherwise you have to keep trying to empty it all out, which is a bit of a job, you know, when you've got to do it over umpteen times. And you're just looking to firm it down. So you get somewhere what you're after. Now you might get a little bit of compost fall down because it's not exactly really wet or anything. But you don't want your compost too wet. Slightly damp will do. Just helps it all kind of bite together. And carefully lift that inner pot out and get your empty one. Shove that in. So when you come to plant your tomatoes, you kind of take this pot out, and then you take your tomato plant out of this pot, and there'll be a little hole ready to take it. And then basically I wait till I can see roots appearing at the bottom of this pot, and that tells me it's ready to go in its final place in the bed. I'll lift this top pot out, and I've sort of bed it into me raised beds in the polytunnel. Do the same into a grow bag if you want, that's fine. Just cut a little slit in your grow bag and nestle the pot in. That's perfectly fine. So I've got 18 of these to do. That's all I can fit in my polytunnel. You know, I've done a couple already, so you can stack them up if you want. I won't do them any more than sort of too high. Otherwise you could end up with a bit of compaction going on. But you need to sort of, if they're good, I mean these are going to be like this for probably, you know, a good few days to a week yet. So I need to make sure I give them a good water afterwards. That just helps everything set down in them. And then and if they dry out, I just need to water them. I don't want to dry out too much, because when compost gets really dry, the water tends to just fly straight through it, where you need it to sort of grab hold of it a bit. same again, was it in the middle? A bit more compost in Barra. I completely bury the other pot and just nestle it all down. Doesn't matter if it's slightly lumpy compost this or anything, doesn't matter. So this is, I don't want it to the top because this is where I tend to feed my tomatoes through here and then water it via another pot at the bottom. But you can water the whole thing from this if you have to. You know, it's perfectly okay. Just try and avoid getting the foliage wet on the plant. You know, with water and that. You know, if you're growing it outside, then it's inevitable then it's going to get foliage. You know, because of blight purposes and things like that. But that's a whole different topic. Again, pull that one out. Shove your empty one in. You say you just water that, and that's good to go then. And it's nice being able to do it with the sunshine out. It's not a major, massive job to do. It's just makes it easy when you come to actually put your stuff on. You've got your carcass pots all ready to go. I'll do one more. I won't bore you with it all. Try and find my scoop wherever I put it. You know, if you look back over some maybe last year's videos or the year before, it's all pretty much the same each year, and you can sort of jump ahead where I'm at now if you want and see what, in case you need to prepare in the area, you know, if you want to do a similar thing. It was an actual one of my subscribers who gave me this double pot idea, you know, one inside the other, because he used to try and take it out of one pot and into another one. Then someone said just put two pots together at the beginning. I thought, well, makes it down that easier. I'm trying to lift a 3 litre root ball out and shove it into another pot. That way there's less checking on the plant, if you know what I mean. He's out of one, straight into another one. It's not being firmed and pressed and all that mark. It just sort of fits nice and snug. Give it an initial water from the top, and probably bottom water from then on, because it'll just encourage the roots to go down. Say you can top it, these all drop down a bit, you know, when you watered it doesn't matter, just wait till your tomato plant's in, bit of compost around the bottom, and then just water it and they'll be fine. So I'll carry on with these, and then we'll probably sow some seeds. Right, I'm going to sow these next, the climbing beans, varieties Cobra. I've grown it for the past few years now, but there are other varieties, they're all okay. Don't like really being cold, so these will probably go out end of May into June. I wouldn't like to put them outside any earlier, because they can sulk a bit when the weather's bad and they just get off to a bad start. Last year was a very poor year for beans for me, but we shall see how we go. I'm using just root trainers. I don't usually use them that often, but it's beans I only tend to use them for. Toilet roll tubes will do, or plant pots, as long as they're fairly deep. Just simply open the pack. Can dip holes, I might dip some holes yet, I don't know, I'll see how I go. there for now. Right, so they're black in colour. Like I say, they have this little part underneath. That's the bit you want to plant facing down. So simply go along, just nest them down, so good ½ inch down, you know, 15-20 mils, something like that. Compost is already moist. If you get a little bit cold, they will tend to rot off. When they get a bit too deep or too wet, they'll rot off too, so just keep them slightly moist. You know, they're okay in the warm, but just bear in mind if they're in direct sunlight, they will dry out pretty quick. So I'm going to pop these on the windowsill until they start to poke their heads up. You know, you can check your seeds in case there's any like that. Bad one there, it's broke. So I'm hoping these will be somewhere, you know, 8 to 12 inches tall when they go out. Sometimes you have to spread them apart a bit because they start to try and wrap around each other, and then gives you a chance to make a bit of a bean frame out of some canes or strings, whatever you want to use, for them to climb up. Once they get a good hold, they tend to go up then quite quickly. But say if you get a cold snap, they won't like it, and like really cold winds, they're not over keen on. I've noticed that various seed companies this year, it's been quite hit and miss, to be honest. Especially peas. I've had some of my own I've sown, and a couple of other brands, and to be honest, the best ones have been my own. I've had near enough 100% germination on them. So I need to set aside some peas, I think. You know, sow a later crop around June. We've got 8 plants or something like that, and store them for me seed. I'm just going to get a bit of compost. It's just multi-purpose with vermiculite, and just cover them over. You know, you can give them a little bit of a water from the bottom if you want, as long as the compost is fairly damp, because obviously the bean has to soak the moisture up, and then it'll force it to swell. You just put this in a propagator. I'll put a lid over it. If you haven't got that, just a plastic bag. It'll help it humidify and stop it from drying out. Like I say, just watch out for direct sunlight. And of course, good old label. And that's all the beans done. I'm going to sow some cucumber now. The variety I grow is called Femspot. It's an F1 variety. I used to grow Telegraph Improved, but it's just the ones, if they're not an F1 variety, then you have to start picking male flowers off, otherwise you can get bitter cucumbers. So it's just easier for me, and they're a decent cucumber, to be honest. So you don't get loads of seeds, obviously, with me an F1. Seeds are quite flat, a bit like, I don't know if you shelled a pumpkin out, obviously I don't know how you can see that, but it's pretty small. So these need to go on their thinnest edge. Don't know how well you can see this. It's on its actual thin edge. probably about maybe 10 centimetres down at the most. Put them on their edge because it's easier for them to lift out the compost like that. Otherwise, if they're laying flat, the root's got to go down and then try and lift the compost up as well. There's just less resistance doing it this way. I mean, you can cover them over with vermiculite or say just compost. But these, you know, these have been pre-watered, these pots, and usually they don't take long to germinate, cucumbers. I'll do them. I'll put my label down the end so I know what they are before I cover them over. And then while we're at it, good old courgettes. Now, I grow courgettes mainly for cane, Etophis. But if you get a good year for courgettes, most of the time they're okay if you get them somewhere fairly sheltered. Variety is Defender. I used to grow Defender. I've had a couple of years trying other ones, but I've gone back to Defender. But when they start fruiting, they really don't half pump out some, you know, amount. You leave them to get too big, they end up quite like Mara size. And these are the same again. On the thin edge, just nestle them down into the compost. About the same, so the top of the seeds about 10 mil below the surface. Could be even less, you know, but it's not too deep. Compost is moist, it's not sodden wet or anything like that, because cucumbers, courgettes, when they come up, if they get too wet around with the stem, leaves the compost, they are quite susceptible to rotting off. So just bear that in mind. Like when you plant them out somewhere, I usually like to have them on a little bit of a hill, so to speak, rather than being in a well, because just if it rains they'll gather water around. And then Defender label in there, just give them a little bit of a covering. You just 7 centimetre pots are easy, but you can do them in, I wouldn't do them in anything much smaller. I'm not one for pricking them out, you see, because I like to any of the curbrits, like, you know, courgettes, pumpkins, squashes, to try and start them off in something decent size. So instead of pricking out, it's just a case of potted on, so it's not really much root disturbance, you know. And I'm not going to press this down hard because it's just more for the seed to push up, just a case of smoothing it over. Tap them about and they'll be fine. Pop a lid on that, somewhere light but not direct sunlight, because they'll once you cook the seed, that's it, it won't fire. And that's all you do for them for now, and they'll be up probably within a week, I should imagine. And then probably pot them on in about 2-3 weeks into a bigger pot, probably twice the size pot of that. Right, I'm going to sow some sweetcorn now. The variety is the same as I've done last few years anyway, is Swift. There are other ones like a Applause, Northern Extra Sweet. There's a few. The only thing is with sweetcorn, if you're growing a couple of varieties, try not to have them close together. Keep them as far apart as you possibly can. So it can affect with the pollination, because they're pollinated on the wind. They do better in a semi-sheltered spot, you know, to help pollination. You have to grow them in a block, so you need it probably at least, if you did at least 5 plants and did them in like a 5 of a dice, you know, a foot apart each way, you'd probably do alright. So I've soaked these in water for probably about half an hour. They could have done with a lot longer really, probably 4 or 5 hours to swell them up. So they don't look like anything special, they're just simply kernels. So got multi-purpose compost with vermiculite in it. You don't have to put vermiculite in it, it just helps with drainage. Little holes I've dipped out just to sort of set them in place really. Just going to go along and pop them in like so. And then just sort of press them into the bottom, you know, so about ½ inch below the surface. It does pay to sort of make sure your compost is already sort of pre-dampened down. And then when you've done that, just give them a bit of a cover. And compost. Yeah, I'm going to give them a little bit of water, but not too much. Just to make sure they've all got good contact, because they're going to soak up a bit more water for probably the next couple of days to swell up, and then they'll start sending a root out. Don't want too much water, just enough to dampen it down. And then put your label in. Put them somewhere light, out with direct sunlight, but nice and light. Windowsill will be fine until they've actually sprouted. It's just you don't want this drying out, because then obviously it'll cause the seed to misfire or kill it as it's trying to germinate, and there's no going back from that then. So once they're up, the root will probably be twice the size anyway, because as soon as you start seeing it poking out about an inch high, I can guarantee the root's down near the bottom of the pot. These will be planted out end of May, beginning of June. Beginning of June's a good time. Harvesting probably end of August, September. Roughly get probably 2 cobs on average to each plant, so I'm doing 30. That's what I'm going to sow. So it's a nice little extra, and you can grow stuff in between them. Like lettuce, or you know, there's a Three Sisters thing where you can grow a bean up them and then squash plants in between them. Or just put lettuce in, so I usually do a bit of lettuce in between each one. So that's the Sweetcorn. While we're at it, we'll have a quick look in the old polytunnel. As you can see, some peppers there, tomatoes, and a big long shelf of tomato plants. And I'm only actually using these 2 trays up. So I've got some friends who are going to come and collect some from doorstep. So they're just going to message me when they're coming. I'll just pop them outside for them, they can take them. Got some more spring green seedlings there. Herbs. Parsley's doing alright. Chives is starting to come up. Everything else is a bit patchy. Swift first early potatoes, they're doing alright. These big onions, I need to sort out where they're going to go yet. They're kind of getting desperate to go out. Same with lettuce, got some little gems, some red salad bowl, I think they are. These are the ALLOTMENT beans, spring onions. A lot of this is going to get planted over the next few days. I think some of my potatoes, King Edwards, are yeah, I can see they're starting, so I need to get them outside soon. Let's get to a point where I put capillary mat in, which is a big help keeping these moist. But I'm going to pot them ones on into slightly bigger pots, because next week a friend was coming to collect them. Hold down this bottom end, canes out. There's the peas, they've taken nicely. The net that's up, all done. Got another sowing of peas here. I've done a 5-a-dice method because I didn't have many, so a bit long-winded, but it saves on the peas a bit. Some bits of carrots, I don't know, you can see starting coming up. I think these are the Royal Shanty ones, tiny, like little short carrots. Sweet candle carrots are finally appearing. I think I've got some in every one. Well, that one's nothing in that one, so I might have to do a re-sow in that one. Mazeo lettuce is growing steady. Just getting that shadow out of the way. Radish and the other carrots are starting to come up. There's the spinach, I've been picking that. Radish, and eating some of these as well, because these are the breakfast radish. So food's ready to go already. And around here, these are the red intermediate carrots. I'm thinning these out to one, probably next few days. There's the spring greens under net coming up. All my brassicas that are going down the plot. I don't know what you can see, but they're all in that net. Stacks of now, they're Brussels sprouts. I don't know where they're going yet, but yeah, they're going down to the plot tomorrow, I think. So everything's okay up here. We'll go down another batch of peas. These were my own peas, these. I mean, the get out there, like the germination is pretty much 100% on them. Because I still need some for the allotment, because I've put 3 gutters of peas, patchy ones, down at the allotment. They're in. All my potatoes are planted out. So there might be a bit of footage if I can find it on my camera, if it's not crashed and got rid of it, because the battery ran out the other day. But it started picking at that. So it just comes back, you know. I took that corner was empty the other day and it started coming back. Well, spring onions been eating them as well. So I mean, these were some peas I sowed that, I mean, very patchy, you know, but I don't know, you know, it's been a bit of a problem, the peas this year. But all in all, everything's steadily going along. So like I said, I've been down my plot, tidied it all up, garlic's planted in, so there's probably some footage of that. So hopefully everything will be alright. Turn the camera around. So that's it for this video. Bit of seed sowing and prepping tomatoes and stuff, because there's all this lot, you know, needs to start getting emptied out soon, because I need to start making room in here, because I need to put a little bit of manure in these beds, because I've not got the compost. I usually put a bit more compost in them, but I have to put a bit of manure in them. It's a bit fresh, but it'll be alright. So that's it for this video. So the next one will be from the allotment, planting stuff out. So I think that's it. So for now, take care, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. See you now, bye bye.